I don't think he walked over her, but I did read some of the reviews after, which I need to stop doing that because sometimes it just ruins my view on a book. And some of the reviews were like, he walked all over her. I don't think he did. I didn't feel that way. I just felt like he was a very helpful man and very hot. But we know I overlook red flags sometimes when it comes to reading, so maybe don't trust me. How many books did I read this month? Oh my gosh. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is the first day of Vlogmas. I'm going to try my best to do Vlogmas. Today's video is going to be my reading wrap up for the month of November. I read 16 books in the month and I'm currently still reading 2, but these 2 that I'm about to show you, they'll carry on and I'll talk about them in my December wrap up. But I've been bouncing between Babel and Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I'm not in a rush to read this book. It's taking me a bit. And this has been a little bit of my palate cleanser. I thought I would be able to finish this book before the end of the month, but still have about a third bit left. I am gonna jump straight into it and I'm gonna do the books that I have in physical form first, and then we'll do the ones that I read on Kindle Unlimited. First, I'm gonna talk about a book that I DNF'd. I'm not gonna touch too much on it, but I did get so close to the end. So I'm not including it in the number, but I did try to read Holly Jolly Cowboy this month. I got about like right there. The MMC just reminded me, the MMC just reminded me a little too much of a toddler and I just couldn't do it. Royal Holiday, I read this, Phineas. I read this in my Christmas 24-hour reading vlog. I gave it 3 stars. I think that might be a little bit generous. As I said in that video, which go watch that video if you want my full thoughts, I felt like this book would be a good read if you don't normally read romance and you want something very simple and slightly hallmarky for the holiday season, but it was really bland for me and I didn't love it. Next, The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. I own this book, but I ended up listening to it on Spotify, and I don't know if I feel the way I do about this book because I listened to it instead of reading it. I might give it another shot in the future and read it, but I gave it 3 stars. It just didn't work for me. For some reason, the way the narrator sounded in the audiobook just made me so annoyed at all of the characters in the middle of the book. There was no, to the point of no return. I couldn't get over my annoyance. I did enjoy the ending, which is why it's getting 3 stars for me. And I see what the author was trying to do there, but I don't know. It just might be right book, wrong time. We read this in book club this month. Currently, if you hear her yawning or breathing too loudly in the background, I am so sorry. Next, I read Make Believe Match by Melanie Harlow. This is her newest release, the 3rd book in the Cherry Tree Harbor series. I liked this book. I thought it was really cute. I gave it 3.5 stars. This book is a great palate cleanser book, as was the rest of the series. I didn't really love the book that came before this, Hideaway Heart. I did like Runaway Love, the very first book in the series, and then I enjoyed this one. It was Marriage of Convenience, and because it was Marriage of Convenience and the characters got to get there very quick, there was no angst in the book, but I still really enjoyed it, and I think Devlin and Lexi's relationship was really adorable. Merry Inkmas. The more I think about this book, the less I like it. I also read this in my 24-hour reading challenge, Christmas edition. I mentioned in that video, I just think novellas aren't for me. I stand by that. And the more I think about this book, I also like cringe a little bit more. And I don't know what that's about. I don't know if it's because, again, it was so rushed because it's supposed to be, and that's just not my thing, or what. I think we're gonna move it down to 3 stars. Maybe 2.5. 2.5. That's my final rating. Two Twisted Crowns. This was the 2nd book in the Shepherd King duology, the first being One Dark Window. I love this series so much and I'm so sad that it's a duology, but I also love that it's a duology because it's not longer than it needs to be and the author's getting to the point and solving the issue within 2 books, and I love that. I loved how creative this fantasy book and world felt. Loved the characters. I loved specifically in this book how the author focused on the point of view from a character that she didn't focus on their point of view in the first book. And at the beginning of this book, I thought I wasn't gonna enjoy that at all. When I first saw it was from Elm's point of view, a lot of the times I was like, why are we doing that? And I didn't think I was gonna like it. I didn't think it was gonna work, but it worked. And I am so thankful she took that direction with this book. Go read what One Dark Window is about, or read like a synopsis about it, because I genuinely, when it comes to fantasy, there is a bad monster that lives inside of a girl. There is a mist that kills people. so you can't go into the mist without your charm. There is oppressed people and a horrible king. That's about all I can give you. 4.5 stars. Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I have to say, this book made me question what the YA is. I still don't know the answer to that. This is a YA debut novel by Ali Hazelwood. It felt about the same as her other books, except she just didn't go into detail in a spice scene. I didn't love this book. I loved the idea of it, and I thought it was cute, and I think it would be a good read, and I would have enjoyed it more if I was like 17 years old. But it was just cute. That's about it. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. Maybe 3.25. It was just all right. Still love Ali Hazelwood though. And I did buy a chessboard and play chess at least once a day, either on that board, if I can find somebody to play with, or on my laptop. My new hobby. The last book that I have in physical form is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. For a YA fantasy book, I thought this was great. When people point out issues that they have with this book, it's normally them saying that it was very similar to the Red Queen series, which I haven't read that, so I don't know. It wasn't a very unique storyline, but I don't care. It was just a fun read. And Kai was so... This picture, this was Kai, the MMC in this book, and there's no spice in it. I got a lot of questions about that when I posted about this on Instagram. There's just a lot of angst in it, and it was cute, and it didn't necessarily give Hunger Games, but there are trials in it. But the difference is the elites compete in the trials, and Peyton, the FMC, she's not an elite, but she gets chosen to be in the trials, and she's like, why am I here? What is, like, I'm not an elite. Why did I get voted to do this? So she has to compete alongside Kai and like 12 other elites, and it's not really a fight to the death, but there is some offing in the trials. Just go into it with the mindset of no brain cells, just vibes. I give it 4 stars. Moving on to the books that I read on Kindle Unlimited. The first book that I read on Kindle Unlimited, and this is the first book that I read this month, was Hooked on the Game by C.M. Owen. C.M. Owen is S.T. Abbey, who writes the Mind series. She just wrote under a couple different pen names, C.M. Owen being one of them. I know there was a third pen name. It was like 180 pages, very short, quick, to the point, absolutely nothing like the Mind series. The writing style was similar to the Mind series though. At the beginning of the book, this is a spoiler. I'm actually not going to tell you what happens, but just know there's like a shock in the beginning where you're like, what the fuck? And then there's forced proximity between them, and he becomes obsessed with her. It wasn't great. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars, and that's generous. It was just fun. Next, I read A Beautiful Surrender. This book gave me Hunger Games vibes, but spice. And also she falls in love with an enforcer, like a guy on well, they're not the Capitol, but like, you know what the Capitol means when I talk about the Hunger Games. Like, falls in love with a guy that is on the wrong side. And I need to read the second book, and it has like no reviews on Goodreads. It's definitely not as detailed as the Hunger Games. When I compare it to the Hunger Games, it's not as detailed. It's more like a Wattpad version. But yeah, that's actually it. I think it was just dystopian. Yeah, dystopian, not fantasy. There's also a love triangle in it for a bit. Me, who doesn't even like love triangles, I was okay with it. It was fine. 2 of the main characters lived in a village at the beginning of the book, and then their village got raided by, I don't know, I'm gonna keep calling them the Capitol. I don't know the timeline, but I know it's as if our world now, some big catastrophe happened and we got set back years, because at the beginning of the book, the FMC is like, oh, I always heard about these things called telephones. And it's as if the earth, I think the earth might have gotten flooded and a lot of people died, and they had to just go back to the old ways because they didn't have technology and all these things anymore. And so I just remember her being like, oh, telephones. Wonder what it was like when they had those. Faking Under the Mistletoe. I actually own this book. It's over there. I just forgot to grab it. I bought it on Pingo Books after I read it on Kindle Unlimited. This was a fun holiday read. I thought it was so cute. I think some people reading this will find it annoying or find the FMC annoying. I found her kind of endearing. I just think it was cute. I gave it 3. How many stars did I give this book? Oh my god, I gave it 4 stars. I had a good time. It was fic dating, boss, and intern, but not in a creepy way. Root Bound by Tara DeWitt. I loved Funny Feelings by Tara DeWitt. For some reason, I just did not like this book. I read this book for my book club that I have with my friends, and it was kind of a struggle for me to finish this book. I gave it 2 stars. I don't know what it was. I was not connecting with the characters at all, any of them, even all the side characters. I wasn't connecting with the storyline, which is crazy because I rated Funny Feelings 4.5 stars, and that's one of my favorite books. This one just, it wasn't it for me. Snowed In and Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. If you need a holiday read, read these two. I loved the one that I just talked about, and I do recommend that one, but I recommend these first. I ended up reading Snowed In before I read Holiday Romance. The stories are set in Ireland, so like, do Irishmen? Okay, fine, sign me up. They were just really good rom-coms. The first one is Friends to Lovers. The two main characters are on the same plane ride every single year going to Ireland to meet their families, and they live in Chicago. And for like 10 years, they're on the same plane and they are always running into each other. And so it's very much Friends to Lovers. The second one is Fake Dating to Lovers. I like Snowed In better. Big Nick Energy. I gave this 3 the title of this book. I have not loved this author's other books. I've DNF'd about 3 of her books. I don't know why. I always give them a shot because the storylines always sound so good, and they just haven't been the books for me. Totally fine. I was recommended Big Nick Energy. I actually enjoyed it. I see the red flags with this book. I see the flaws. I don't care. I overlooked every single one of them. I thought it was fun. The FMC is a single mom, and she becomes friends with the MMC's son years prior to meeting him. And so the MMC, his name's Nick. I was about to be like, what's his name? His name is literally Nicholas, or Nick. I don't know, one of those. He's hearing about her for years and how great she is. His son is like way younger. She's like in between ages. I'm trying to like figure out how to explain this so it's not creepy. It was a cute romance book. Very mindless. Very much man steps in and kind of saves the day a little bit. Doesn't necessarily save the day, but she is a little bit of a struggling single mom and has like a deadbeat dad for these children, and he like sucks ass. So she's just navigating life as a single mom and doing the absolute best she can. And he does come in and like, I don't think he walked over her, but I did read some of the reviews after, which I need to stop doing that because sometimes it just ruins my view on a book. And some of the reviews were like, he walked all over her. I don't think he did. I didn't feel that way. I just felt like he was a very helpful man and very hot. But we know I overlook red flags sometimes when it comes to reading, so maybe don't trust me. A Very Grumpy Christmas. I also read this in my 24-hour reading challenge. This is just an average Christmas read. 3.5 star book. I feel like a lot of holiday books are very average most of the time. This is just like, if you read it, you'll probably have fun with it, but it's nothing crazy. And the guy's not even that grumpy. The Plight Before Christmas. Also read this in that video. I actually really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 stars. This is a step up from the book that I just talked about. A little bit better. Not necessarily an average holiday read, but a little bit in a way. I'm not gonna say the trope that's in this book because it came very much as a shock to me. But if you want to know the trope, read the back of the book. I recommend going into it blind because then you're like, what the? I think the MMC's name was Eli. He was just a cutie. That was the last book. I didn't even realize it. And those are all the books that I read in the month of November. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope I can stick to vlogmas for you guys. I think it'll be really fun if I can. And I hope you stick around for all of it. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!